Hi everyone, I'm Stefano and I'm the author of the End of Glory series, and today I'm your host for this video where we will play together the demo for Roots in the Sky, the End of Glory 2. Now, as we can see, we at the first screen is the selection screen for your device, for the device you're playing with, and you can choose between PC or Steam Deck. Now, in the complete game, this will be automatic, and the game will be fully be playable on Steam Deck. And as far as PC go, we will be on Windows, Mac, and Linux systems, and the game will also be released on Nintendo Switch. Now, as I'm playing on a personal computer, I'm going to go for this one. Now, Roots in the Sky is the sequel to The End of Glory, a traditional point-and-click game we released in 2020 that received generally positive reviews, especially on Steam, where we have a 96% of positive reviews from our players, and we are very happy about it, and that's the reason we started working on the second game. And the game will be released in English, Italian, and German, but for the demo we also have Spanish subtitles, and we're currently running a Kickstarter campaign where we're trying to reach a stretch goal, and if we will reach that stretch goal, we will add Spanish and French subtitles to the game. And so if you're Spanish or French, please visit our Kickstarter page and just help us reaching that particular stretch goals. And that's it, let's start the demo.
Rome, the Eternal City. I had been working for a private security agency called Fidentia for a few months. The pay was lousy, but it had a huge advantage. Nobody there cared who I was or where I came from. Me and Malcolm, my boss/roommate, were escorting yet another VIP to discover the wonderful views of Rome. Everything was going as planned. The guy didn't look like he wanted to talk, and we were more than happy to accommodate him. Then, as if reading my mind, Destiny decided to liven up the situation. From that moment on, the last thing I could complain about would be boredom. Kiddo. Kiddo, wake up.
5 more minutes, Dad. 10.
Get up, sleepyhead. I need to leave for a while.
Leave?
I left something for you. It's in the kitchen.
Dad? Dad? He's gone.
You're still in bed? Didn't you say bye to your father?
No.
Oh, well, that'll teach you not to stay up so late with those stupid detective magazines you read.
They're not stupid. When I grow up, I will be a great detective.
All right, take it easy. Breakfast is ready, but first, I'm sure you meant well when you decided to decorate the wall with that mural. But get rid of it now, please.
But it looks great. Do I really have to?
You have the nerve to complain? Tell you what, don't even dare come into the kitchen until you picked up all those clothes scattered around as well.
But Mom... Bobby! He's gonna help me. Hi, Bobby! Did you sleep well? Come on, I know you're awake. I'm gonna tickle your tiny paws, you know.
Little brat, don't you dare! And by the way, I never sleep. I stand guard.
Oh, right. The guarding went well then?
Nothing to report, except for that rooster that keeps singing at 3 a.m. and the endless snoring of your father.
He almost sounds like a rusty muffler.
So what's on the schedule for today? Shall we flush out a criminal gang? Search for stolen goods? A few chases? Hand-to-hand fight?
We need to tidy up the room.
I love hand-to-hand. You call that a schedule?
Let's hurry up. Dad promised me a surprise.
Aren't you forgetting something?
My notebook. I can't launch myself on a mission without my notebook.
Okay, let's start the adventure. If you had some Broken Sword vibes during the introduction video, that was intended, because Broken Sword is our main inspiration together with Greybeard Knight, and we still think that Paris in the Fall is the best introduction ever, so that Rome, the Eternal City, is a bit of a tribute we made for Revolution Software. And let's start the game. So as we can see, we have a notebook here where you can read all the tasks you need to complete in order to go on with the plot, and we need to gather the clothes scattered all over the room and remove the masterpiece from the wall. Now, in order to find all the interactable elements of a particular scene, you can use the hotspot finder, which tells you with which object you can interact with, and you can call this system pressing the middle button of the mouse or the space bar or A on your Steam Deck. Let's start collecting everything we can. When you collect an item, that will be automatically added to your inventory. You can access by pressing this button over here, and when you have an item in your inventory, you will be able to examine it.
Left sock, or is this the right one?
Or use it. Now, there's also a fast drag option to take the items in your inventory without having to open the contextual menu, and you can use the mouse wheel scrolling it up and down, or R1 if you're playing on a Steam Deck, which makes it a lot easier to use items with the background.
I don't know why Mom wants me to remove that. It's colorful,
A real masterpiece.
isn't it?
Do you remember when Dad taught us about irony?
No.
I can tell.
Now, when you interact with an object, you can see this contextual menu, which contains the actions you will perform to that particular object. In this case, we can examine it with the eye or talk about it. Now, this icon will be used to talk with characters, but also to ask characters that are in the scene, in this case our Bobby, our teddy bear, and ask for suggestions or comments on stuff.
What do you think of my drawing?
The execution is poor, but the subject, well, what a subject.
We're putting a lot of efforts into the animation system, and we're trying to achieve the same high standard that Broken Sword 2 set in 1997, where you can see George and Nico perform every single action. There was an animation for pretty much everything they did on screen, which is still today is unreachable. It's something very cool, and we are really hoping we'll be able to reach that level and that standard. Now, the inventory. In the first game, when you had too many objects, too many items in your inventory, you needed to scroll the inventory using arrows that were in the border of the inventory itself. This time we want to use an adaptive inventory, which means that when you reach this limit, the inventory will automatically becomes bigger and show 2 rows of items. If you reach that limit, it will show 3 rows, and so on. This way you'll always see all the items you have in your inventory, and it will be easier to combine them, for example, because you can use the items on the environment, but also between them. For example, let's try to combine this brush with the degreaser. And we have a degreasing brush. We can use this to clean the expressionist masterpiece. Now, here you just need to use your mouse to clean the wall. This was intended because we want to release the game for touchscreen devices as well, as I told earlier, for Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch. And this will be very cool to solve using your touchscreen rather than your mouse. I mean, with a mouse it's okay, it's funny, but with a touchscreen it's way better. As you can see, we achieved the first task we needed to complete, and we only need now to gather the clothes scattered all over the room. The notebook will be very useful in the complete game, because in the complete game you will have a lot of tasks to complete at the same time, and you'll need to keep track of what you still need to do. So let's imagine you close the game for a couple of days and then you open it again. You can use your notebook to remember instantly what you already solved or what you still need to solve.
It's stuck in the wheel.
Now, if you're familiar with adventure games, you know you have to collect puzzles in order to grab items or solve things around. This
It's
won't
a
be
what's
any
it that you
different.
use to keep the tricycle steady.
It's called a brake, remember?
Yeah, I knew that.
Now the sock is stuck in the wheel, so we need to release the brake in order to be able to gather it. And I think we've collected everything we could. We just need to throw the clothes into the laundry basket.
Yes.
As you can see for the demo, we really use a specific animation for everything young Lars does.
Well, I'm done. What a chore.
Your stomach roars louder than me.
Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I can't wait.
All done? I warn you, I'll be checking later on.
What smells so good?
Your favorite breakfast. Pancakes with pistachio cream.
Pistachios!
I heard you talking earlier, and yeah, I mean, about Bobby. He is a good friend, I'm sure, but you know that he doesn't really, don't you?
Mom, I know that Bobby doesn't really talk. I'm not 6.
All right, I just wanted to be sure. Sometimes your imagination confuses me, that's all. Your father left something for you on the table before leaving.
Let's see what it is. It's a letter. Okay, I'll read this for you. Kiddo, I need to leave the city for a while, but I didn't forget my promise. Today's your initiation day. I scattered the 3 tasks across the whole house. Once you've completed them, you'll be a step closer to becoming a great detective. The safe on the table is protected by a numeric code. There's a videotape on your top shelf. Watch out, recovering it will be perilous, and the force field bars the way. Be careful. P.S. Don't watch the videotape before you have completed all the tasks.
This is going to be an epic challenge. I'm ready.
Now, if Broken Sword and Gabriel Knight are our main inspiration, there's also another inspiration we used for this game, which is Monkey Island 2: LeChuck's Revenge, and that is an inspiration as far as game design goes. Now, we think LeChuck's Revenge has the best game design ever. You know, those parts with the 3 islands you needed to solve with all the puzzles scattered around, and we still think that is the best game design ever, and that's what we try to achieve every time with all our games, having a lot of location to visit at the same time, with a lot of puzzles scattered around, a lot of characters, and in this case we have 3 tasks to complete. We need to use our wits to open the safe in the kitchen, there's a videotape to recover from the shelf, and a force field bars the way. What does it mean? Let's start.
Dad didn't tell me he had to leave.
He received an urgent call tonight while you were sleeping. I don't know exactly where they sent him this time, but he packed his luggage with light clothes. Probably someplace warm and exotic.
He's gonna drink coconut milk with a straw.
He will swim in the ocean or in the sea or in a river. I mean, knowing him, he's going to dive into the first patch of water he can find.
And he's gonna romance all the ladies in town.
He
Look at
better
his
keep
face.
his hands to himself.
Now, if you play the game, the first game, you should recognize some features of the adult Lars in his younger version. We are in flashback, of course, right now, and he's very funny as a character, even as a child. One thing one feature we could add in this second game is lip sync. You can see actually the character actually moving their lips, synchronized with what they are saying. Now, if you're not an English native speaker, you probably will miss it, but if you're an English speaker, you'll probably know this.
What a bummer I had to erase my painting.
Sweetie, I don't want to limit you or curb your enthusiasm, but you see, you have many fine qualities. It's just that painting is not one of them.
What good qualities do I have then?
Well, you're creative, curious, you have a keen eye, and above all, you're tenacious.
What does tenacious mean?
Stubborn, but in a good way.
Look! Look!
I see. Dad told me about the loose tooth. Did it hurt?
Hurts? I never feel a thing.
So it isn't because you were scared I'd pull it out that you didn't tell me, right?
No, not at all.
Did you check if the tooth mouse came?
I forgot.
Hurry up. He usually leaves a penny under the pillow as payment.
Now they reference the tooth mouse and not the tooth fairy because Lars grew up in Italy. If you played the first game, you already know that. If you haven't played the first game, you will find out during the game. So we're currently in Italy, and that's why we talked about the tooth mouse and not the tooth fairy. Now there's this puzzle you'll need to solve to open the safe, but as I don't want to spoil you the fun, I'll just insert the code. Please don't look if you want to solve this on your own, and I'm going to open it.
Wow! A pair of gloves!
Now we're having flash forwards inside of a flashback showing us what Lars will become as an adult. Again, let me repeat this. You don't need to play the first game in order to play this one. Obviously, I strongly advise you to do so because the first game is good. And we had a lot of positive feedbacks on Steam. I don't recall if I already mentioned this, but we have 96% of positive reviews on Steam at the moment, and I hope it won't change in the future. But again, you can play the second game without having played the first one, so don't be afraid. We'll be sure you will understand all the references going on with the game. Even if you're a hothead, your hands are always cold. This will help you. They're also useful to avoid leaving fingerprints at crime scenes.
Bobby, Mom thinks you're imaginarific.
She's right.
Ugh, you two are boring. Dad left me some challenges to overcome.
Something fun at last.
Let's follow Mom's suggestion and check under the pillow.
Look, Bobby, a penny.
This is the start of a real financial empire.
Let's see, we still need to recover the videotape from the shelf. I assume it's this one. And there's a force field bars the way.
A force field bars the way. It's tight in place with screws. Mom and Dad don't let me touch the toolbox in the garage yet.
Take advantage of your greatest talent, using the junk you gather to solve problems like this.
You're right.
Now this is very typical of adventure games, using a coin to open screws, but to unscrew screws. But You see, this is the demo and the beginning of the game, so it has to be pretty straightforward. We didn't want the players to be stuck on the
Here's
demo.
the force field protecting the mysterious package.
But you can expect some tougher challenges in the complete game. Now, don't think about Mist, we don't want to reach that level of difficulty, but it's gonna be enough compelling.
Such a long red scarf.
As you can hear, we have music playing all the time, but then we have other musics that starts when you solve puzzles, or there are flashbacks, or epic scenes and stuff like that. And our musician is very talented on that particular field. Is Carlos Valadares, and he's composing a lot of great stuff. We can't wait for you to hear it. To stand out, a great detective needs a symbol. This scarf will be yours. May the criminals learn to fear it. So now we just need to recover the videotape from the shelf.
I don't know how to reach it. It's too high.
You could climb on the bed.
It's too far away from the shelf, and
You have short paws, right?
Let's try asking for a suggestion.
Got any suggestions?
You'd need a stepladder.
So we need a stepladder. Now we don't have a stepladder, of course, but maybe we can build one.
Let's have a warm-up lap.
Now Lars is a bit of a maniac as far as his bike goes. He has given it a name, it's Green Dart, and it's curious because I brought Lars, but I can't ride a bike. Yeah, I know, I can't ride a bike, okay? As you can see, we built an homemade step ladder, and we can now retrieve
Stop!
the videotape.
You'll break your neck.
I can't. I can't let Dad down. I did it. What do you think is on the videotape? It only says kiddo.
Maybe it's the video of your first grade play.
Mom laughed until she cried.
You were an exceptional treat.
This videotape is the biggest challenge. I wouldn't want you to watch, but you need to understand. Don't be afraid.
I've completed all the tasks.
Whoa, you have such a powerful aura now.
It's over 9,000. I'll go tell Mom. Mom, I did it!
You did great. What did Dad get you?
A pair of wonderful gloves, a long scarf, and a videotape.
Oh, it's already time for the videotape. I was hoping he'd give you more time.
Huh?
Get ready and meet me in the living room. I'll turn on the VCR. They're a bit too big for you. I guess you can use them when you get older.
What's on the tape?
Listen to me now. It's not going to be funny, but your father thinks it's necessary. Even if I trust him, I don't agree. Let me ask you again. Do you really want to become a great detective?
Yes.
You don't look so sure.
Yes, I want to. I want to find the criminals, fight them, and arrest them.
If this is not just a game for you, one day you will really have to face them. Do you understand that?
I got it. Who is he?
He is one of the worst criminals in history. One of the meanest.
Why are they interviewing him, though?
People are weird. On the one hand, they do everything they can to forget about evil, and yet they're fascinated by it. And so it happens that thieves and murderers often make the front page. You know, they write books, they almost become legends.
I don't like it. This man has hurt people?
He hurt a lot of people, yes.
But he is famous?
There's no one in the world who doesn't know his name.
That's not right. He He scares me so bad.
Me too. Look at his eyes. They're empty. You still don't know Nietzsche, but it is like gazing into the abyss while it gazes into you.
I don't want him to be famous. People need to forget about him.
Sweetie, it's impossible. Every time people hear his name, they will remember what he did.
Then I'll steal it from him. I'll steal his name and become the most famous detective ever. I will arrest anyone else like him. All of them. I'll be so famous, people won't think about him anymore. They'll think about me.
That's not such a bad idea, you know.
What? What's his name?
Bundy!
What? Mom?
Bundy, get up! This is not the time for a nap.
I took a nasty blow to the back of my head. It hurts like crazy. On the other hand, he got the worst of it.
Is he dead?
Well, he doesn't look so good.
He is dead.
Yep. Stone cold dead.
He is dead! Do you get it?
I get it. He's deceased, departed, taking a dirt nap, stiff like a board, running in the green meadows with his ancestors.
I think I'm going to be sick.
How come I don't hear the sirens yet? Nobody called the authorities?
I showed my fake police ID around, told everyone to go home, that there's nothing to see here. Same old story.
Great move. Now, stay there and breathe. I think about what to do. We were in Villa Borghese, in the city center. The authorities would get there at any moment, and I couldn't afford to be linked to a murder case. The evidence of my presence had to disappear.
Now we're back at the present day, and so far the demo has been sort of an origin story of our main character, Lazarus Bundy, Lars to his friends. And the reason we did this is because during these past few years people have been asking questions such as, why is he always wearing scarf and gloves, even in Miami? And what's with his name? Why Bundy? And this demo is our answer to all these questions we thought about answering within the game itself rather than outside in interviews or stuff like that. So now we are at the present days, our client has just been murdered and we need to clean the crime scene from everything that links to our presence. So let's examine the corpse.
Although the man had died almost instantly, his expression conveyed the anguished awareness of death. The bullet caught him center mass. Well, judging by the angle of entry, it must have pierced his rib cage, torn right through his heart, and probably a lung.
Here we go. I'm gagging.
I can't see the exit wound, which means the bullet is still inside. It's a pity we don't have time to extract it.
Ugh.
Malcolm, should you feel the irresistible impulse to throw up,
Yes?
close your mouth and swallow. We don't want to flood the crime scene with fresh piping hot DNA, do we?
You're not helping.
One thing we're very proud of is the voice acting. The actor who's voicing Lazarus Bundy is Matthew Curtis, and he is an absolute top-class voice actor. He recently lent his voice to Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise, who is my favorite turtle, by the way.
The man spent the morning taking pictures of everything he found interesting, including me, apparently.
What are you doing? That's evidence.
Don't worry, I always wear gloves precisely for such eventualities.
You mean you're used to it?
We'll talk about that later, okay? It wasn't the first time I'd found myself in such a situation. Once you got to that point, there was nothing else you could do for the victim, other than grant him one last act of kindness.
Always remember that you can use the hotspot finder system to know which items you can interact with.
I prepared to rummage through the corpse's pockets. It was still warm, and I felt irrationally guilty, as if he could possibly care about it. A shaped metallic wire. My instinct urged me to pick it up, even though I didn't have the slightest idea of its function.
We'll get a life sentence.
Look at the bright side. We won't need to raise the money for rent anymore. The victim's ID. The blood, still fresh. partially covered the personal details, but one thing caught my attention anyway.
I don't like what you're doing at all.
Neither do I. Now, do us both a favor. Stand guard, and be sure to freak out if you see a patrol car.
Freak out?
More than usual, I mean. Listen, didn't this guy tell us his name was Philip Sanders?
Yes, why?
Well, the few letters I can make out don't match.
But why provide us with false identification? We were just escorting him around the city.
I have every intention of finding out.
One thing that really works is the relationship between Lars and Malcolm. They are roommates but also colleagues, and the actor who play Malcolm is very good, is very funny, and I'm loving writing their dialogues.
How you doing, Mel?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Plus, it's such a beautiful day. What about you? How's everyone at home?
Well, actually,
How do you think I'm doing, man? We have a shot at clients who not only will be able to pay our day's wage, but who's probably gonna drag us with him to the grave!
When I sent him that line, I told him, please try and make it as fast as you can. And that's what he made. I think it's brilliant. Now we need to recover the roll inside the camera because the victim took a picture of us and we don't want the police to find it.
the small hatch didn't move. Either it had been damaged during the fall, or there was something holding it shut.
You can use the hotspot finder system in close-ups as well.
I didn't know what that button was for, but it was stuck. So that little object was some sort of release key for the camera. The film roll was intact. I vaguely hoped that the victim might have immortalized something useful as well, so I decided to keep it. There was still a problem to solve before I could duck out. I couldn't take the camera with me. The tourists repeatedly took pictures, and in case an eyewitness turned up, I had no doubt they would describe the device to the authorities. I had to leave it at the crime scene. But at the same time, the film roll's absence had to be justified.
So how can we do this? Let's see if there's something that can help us.
A storm drain for gathering rainwater. Normally they were shut. Some joker opened that one. Its depth was considerable. I couldn't see the bottom. The Villa Borghese water clock. In the midst of all that green, it stood out. Majestic.
Now this is a real life place you can actually visit if you come in Rome. It's the water clock in the middle of Villa Borghese, which is my favorite park in the town, but it's the third park as far as extension goes after Villa Doria Pamphili and Villa Ada. They're all beautiful parks, but I really love Villa Borghese and the water clock you can find in the middle of it. So it's very cool. If you happen to come in Rome, please go and visit it. And in the game we'll visit Rome, which, as I said many times, is my city, and I want to tell you more about it. And but you will also travel to India, Palestine, and Japan. So it's gonna be a very long game where you travel to exotic locations, meet a lot of characters, and there's going to be a very wonderful sense of journey, which is something I really like in real life and in games as well.
What are you doing?
I removed the roll containing the pictures of us. Then I placed the camera near the drain.
I can see that, but why?
This way the police will think the film was ejected from the device due to the impact, ending up in the sewer.
Well, that's clever. It almost seems like you're used to these kinds of situations.
Now listen to me, Mal. I can't let the police find me here. They'd be asking questions I couldn't answer.
What kind of questions?
Such as, what's your name?
Huh?
I'll explain everything, I promise. But for now, I gotta leave. And you gotta do me a huge favor.
I'm afraid of what you're about to ask me.
I was never here.
But we come here almost every day!
We don't know each other.
We live together! You pay me rent, you...
And you've never, and I mean never, heard of a certain Lazarus Bundy.
I wish that were true.
Mal, for once in my life, I'm serious.
Alright, get out of here. I'm going to regret this, I know. but just leave.
You're the best.
We have this Indonesian artist, Anton Nugroho, who is very talented. Look at this panoramic view of Rome.
That's how it began. With a man who was perhaps using a secret identity, murdered in the very city center of Rome. Well, what happened to my cover? Would my pursuer track me down after 5 years on the run? In order to prevent that, I needed to solve the case before the police could trace it back to me. Hand them the killer, have them close the file, and get back to anonymity. At that moment, I couldn't imagine that the murder would lead me around the world again, dragging me into one of the greatest adventures of my life.
And that's it for this demo of Brutes in the Sky, The End of Glory 2. If you like the demo, please consider adding it to your wish list, and it's going to be released on March 2024, and every kind of help will be very appreciated. You can find us on all the main socials networks. So you have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and Discord. And more importantly, in this very moment, if you're watching this video and it's February 2023, then we're running a Kickstarter campaign, and we already reached the main goal, but we still have a lot of stretch goals we absolutely want to achieve. I don't recall if I already said that, but we have Spanish and French subtitles that will add in the game if we reach those stretch goals. So if you're Spanish or French, please try your best to spread the word around as we are currently, and let's do this together. But we also have other stretch goals interesting for all the bakers in the world, which are for example extra sections. The first stretch goal is an extra section for Lars, and we're almost there at the moment I'm recording this video, so please add to our Kickstarter and help us reach it. But we also have a wonderful underwater section for Alice, which is our co-protagonist, and it's going to be very cool, inspired by the Yonaguni monument in Japan, which is a mysterious monument, submerged pyramid that, if you don't know about it, go and check it out on the web, on the internet. And we want to reach the stretch goal, so please consider going to our Kickstarter page and support us. And that's it for now, and I want to thank you for being with me during this video. I hope you liked it, and see you next time.